Big Blue Thumb Productions presents the Podlie Podcast. Here's your hosts, Podlie Bill, Podlie Cliff, and Podlie Paul. And good evening, everybody.
Paul.
Epi 69. Wow, Laura jumped in. I didn't even get through my intro, and Laura's there already.
Hello, birthday girl. Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Laura.
To you.
1,500 points. Right.
1,500 points. We'll get. No, actually, let's make it 1550 just because it's her birthday.
Dude, it was 15 because it was her birthday.
That's right. That's right.
Or else it's only 1,000. It's only $1,000. Remember, 1,000 points. Unbelievable. Okay, we've upped the ante, Laura, so it's like 1550, dude.
1550.
Unbelievable.
Plus, it sounds kind of neat. 1550.
Exactly. And if you say it like the hip hop guys, then it's
Sounds like a Van Halen album.
1550.
It's 50.
50 cents.
50 cent, yo.
50 cent, yo. What's up?
50 cent,
Well,
yo.
I don't know, man. Dude, inflation and all, he's probably up to about 60 cents by now, right?
That's right. It's about 61 cents. You know.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's right.
At least got to be. So how was the week there, gentlemen?
Gentleman. Paulie.
Well, you know.
I say that loosely. How was the week there, gentlemen?
Well, you know. Hey, my week was pretty boring. Hey, you know what I did this morning, though?
What'd you do?
I don't know how the hell I did this, but I don't legitimately now. I cannot confirm this. I cannot confirm this because it was Monday after the 1 hour loss that, by the way, completely screwed me up. But I can neither confirm nor deny that I actually washed my hair this morning before I went to work.
I can't either. But what I mean by that is I can't deny it or confirm it to myself.
It's driving me really nuts because my hair feels really oily, and I know I took a shower this morning.
Where'd you take it? Did you bring it back?
It was, and I took it. It's back. It's gone. It's back and it's gone. But I cannot remember if I actually washed my hair this morning. It's driving me bananas.
And Cliff, if you washed your hair this morning, you scrubbed way too hard, buddy, because your hair is gone.
Listen, I can comb my hair with a towel. All right.
Shower without steel wool next time, would you please? Thank you.
And no nair or neat or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's neat.
That's
right.
neat. Hello,
there,
Mr. Marvin.
Hey, Marvin.
Hey, Marvin, I've been watching your stats there with your Starlink, and your speeds are looking pretty good there, sir. So, getting some decent speeds.
Getting some.
Go to Elon Musk's Starlink. So, hey, just quickly before we get into our topic, I wanted to mention this really quick because Paul kind of alluded to this already, and it was topic in our house as well, and that is the daylight savings time thing. Are you for it or against it?
Well,
like, I don't like it myself. I think it's a waste of time. No pun intended.
Cliff?
What? Listen, man, I'm with the First Nations people. Well, not the people, just the one dude. Well, not the one dude, just a meme, which I don't know if it came from the First Nations people or not. But I saw it on a meme that says this wonderful, wise chief of a particular First Nations tribe says only the white man would think that cutting off part of a blanket on one end and adding it to the other end increases the length of the blanket.
Hey, that's good. Can I use that?
So,
I like that.
I was in the pool.
I like that. So in terms of that, right? I'm really not this time changing kind of person. I'm like, leave the damn thing alone. All right.
That's what I think as well. Hi, Shauna. Laura says I hate it. Laura says I hate it. Laura says I hate it in the spring, but she loves it in the fall because you fall back.
Okay, but hold on.
Like it.
But is there a business case for it if you're a farmer? Like,
no, but farmers, and this is one of the discussions we had in our house. What I heard, one of the reasons it was actually brought into place was because farmers needed more daylight, especially during when it was time, to be working the fields. But it's not needed anymore because farmers have technology. Farmers have big lights on their vehicles. They have GPSs on their combines, et cetera, et cetera. So they can work all night, now without worries of,
Which they
needing
do.
more sunlight, which they do. So
Right.
why do we need it? Why do we have to do this?
So
We don't need it.
okay, so all right. Well, if it's no longer necessary, that would be my only caveat. In my mind, I'm like, get rid of it. What the hell are you thinking? However, the only caveat was I think, the farmers needed it. But if there's no longer a case for the farmers, then what the hell are we still doing it for?
I got to be honest with you. You're caveatless now.
Yeah.
Caveatless. I'm CA, caveatless.
Yep.
You are CA.
You used a lot of caveats in that last sentence. So
Exactly.
you're only allowed so many caveats.
Right.
That's right. And
No,
now
I'm
and
saying
now I'm
you're
done.
caveat. I'm saying
Hey,
you're
Jimmy.
caveatless because that isn't a caveat now because there's technology. So
Correct.
Good evening to you as well, Jimmy.
I
Hi,
will have
Jimmy.
I will have to tell you. Hi, Jimmy. By the way, I will have to tell you that it screwed with me something fierce. Now, I'm a really punctual guy. I always seem to know. I always seem to know what time it is. I'm never late. If I'm late, call the coroner, baby. I'm never late. But I got to be honest with you. Yesterday, with the time change, screwed with me something fierce, which it doesn't normally with a time change either ahead or back. Man, did yesterday mess with me. I don't know where the heck the time went. Oh,
Well, first of all, we got a few comments again coming in here. So first of all, Laura wants to know if Paul is wearing pants. Marvin says, my brother-in-law owns a dairy. The cows get milked at the same time, whether it's daylight saving time or not. Kathy says, I thought you went, hello, Kathy, by the way, I thought you went to bed, Jimmy.
Hi, Kathy.
Jamie says, hi, baby, my bed will miss you tonight. Well,
guys, that was 2 weeks ago, guys.
So at least we know, well, Jamie and Jimmy aren't in the same bed tonight as they were that one podcast.
Laura, to answer your question, I am not wearing my birthday suit. See what I did there? Her birthday today. See what I did there?
Quiet. It went really quiet.
Happy birthday, Laura, and hello, Shauna, and hello, Jimmy, and hello, Jamie.
Shauna says, if we could always fall back and not spring forward, I'd be all for it. Springing forward and losing that hour sucks. Get rid of daylight savings time.
Right?
Oh, Jimmy's in high level tonight. How's the weather in high level there?
Nice.
Jimmy?
How's the air up there, Jimmy?
How's the lots of snow up there, Jim? Yet? There's still lots of snow up there. That's what
It's
I
a
want.
high level.
Sorry.
High up there. So Jamie and Jimmy, if you two just want to have your own conversation on the chat line, it looks like it's going to happen. So you guys go ahead and you guys converse.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, talk amongst yourselves there. So our other part of the topic was, Paul, you picked the topic tonight. So tell us what you were talking about.
Cancel culture. I want to know all about this. Now, I'm coming at this as a student. Okay, I want to come at this. So first of all, we're inundated with cancel culture, particularly I would hazard to say in the last 6 months. I mean, we've it's been a lot longer than that, but we've been inundated with it in the last 6 months with news and stuff like that. Now, I'm coming at this as a student because I really want to learn about this cancel culture. So I've read about a little bit about this tonight. The Mr. Potato Head thing I have not read about. You guys will have to school me on this. I read about the Pepe Le Pew one. The Pepe Le Pew and
sorry, Paulie. I'll let you continue in exactly 1 second. But I gotta admit, all my life I've laughed at the name Pepe.
Pepe Le Pew.
All my entire life. Sorry, continue.
So what do we got? We've got Gina Carano. I'm a Star Wars guy. You know I'm a Star Wars guy. I watch and absolutely love The Mandalorian. Gina Carano is a hit or miss with me. She can't act. She was all right. I don't know what her comment was, but now Disney has since fired her.
Yeah, she was fired for making comments that were, I think it was to do a lot with backing of Donald Trump, etc. But she was saying a lot of some nasty. She put out some nasty tweets and that kind of thing. And Disney took big offense to it.
Okay, whoa, Bill. What nasty tweets?
I didn't see them all, but I know
Yeah,
that
but you can't just say it's nasty tweets
some.
without
Well,
actually
that's
showing
yeah, but
something.
that's what I that
Well,
they
I don't
were
know what
actually
they are either, Cliff. I don't
actually
know.
that's what they were they were actually published. I
No,
just didn't get a chance to read them.
but that's
And
the problem, though, right?
but Disney and lots of people did read them, so Disney fired her.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but that's my point, though, right? Is that nobody reads the actual quotes. They just take what the media tells them and says, "Oh, they had nasty tweets." But I would be more concerned with the fact of it.
Yeah. Well, like Paul said, I don't think it's a miss anyway because she couldn't act. So I don't see her
So
being
cancel
off the
culture.
series.
So cancel
No.
culture is okay if she can't act.
So
okay, okay, just wait, Cliff.
I'm
Wait,
just asking.
back the bus up, Mister. Here's my thing, and I'll
Don't
tell
like
you a story.
questions.
I'll tell you a story. No, irrelevant, Cliff. Irrelevant. We were this weekend. My kids and I, 8, and 7, we were watching the Disney Channel.
Okay.
We were watching Cloak and Dagger. I've never seen it. It's a live action. Cloak and Dagger are two superheroes. Okay, so. And I've never, ever done this until this weekend. I've never done this. I had to turn it off with my kids watching it. I'll tell you why. Because there was snorting up the nose. There was snorting up the nose. So my question is, and like I said, I'm coming at this as a student. Did I engage in cancel culture this weekend?
No, you're engaged in parenting.
Well, that's what I think, Cliff. Yeah, man. Okay.
Yeah, but that's you though. But I don't want other people parenting my kids. I want to parent my kids.
Right, sure. So right. So here's the thing. So then cancel culture. Should I cease to let them watch Pepe Le Pew? Should I cease to let them play with our Mr. Potato? Where does it freaking stop, man?
well, and of course now they've stopped the publishing of the Dr. Seuss books, who I have behind me.
Right?
Yeah, they won't be allowed to be published any longer. So.
I want to know what everybody's opinion is on this. I want to know exactly what I want to know where cancel culture potentially started. I want to know what your opinions on cancel culture are. I want to know if cancel culture, do you foresee it ever stopping, or when is it going to stop, or if it is going to stop?
Well, let's then start with you, Podlie. Similar to what Bill did with me last week, right? I went through, told about the topic, and said what I wanted to discuss, and then of course, I was the one to sort of, sort of set the platform. So, where do you stand on it? I know you say you're coming at this as a student, right? Aren't we all? Because we don't know what's going on. We're all coming at this as a student. So, coming at it as a student with your current knowledge, what do you think of it?
Maybe that's a very good way of putting it. I don't know what's going on, Cliff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's a really good way of putting it. I don't know what's going on. So, are people getting? Is it a matter of all of these oversensitive people just? All of these Tipper Gores that are just getting way too concerned and over concerned and oversensitized, and like I got to be honest with you, the Pepe Le Pew thing, I never in a million years would have thought about it until it was actually brought up. Never would have thought about it until it was brought up in that term, in that context. Right. Do you know what I mean? And then I read something on social media just today, and it was about it was a woman who commented on Pepe Le Pew saying, "You know what? I was abused most of my life." I said, "Pepe Le Pew has bugged me my whole life."
I would call that personally, but
I'm like, wow, really? I hadn't thought about it, guys.
You're telling me as a child somewhere down the road watching Pepe Le Pew, a skunk and a cat cartoon, she would have recognized as a young person and have it and recognize it to the point where it would have bothered her?
I don't know, man. That's what she said. I mean, I don't know who it was. It was
again. I'm just asking, right? I'd be curious to know, because that sounds like an unreasonable proposition to me, but
I don't know. So I'm learning about this whole cancel culture thing. What's the whole Mr. Potato Head deal?
I don't know. I heard something about the Mr. Potato Head that they have to make a change with it now because there's been an outcry against the toy or something. But maybe our viewers or our listeners also know something about that. But I heard something about that a week ago that they're having to Mr. Potato Head. They have to change something or whatever because of an outcry of something against it, just like they did with the Dr. Seuss books now, and saying that there's an issue with the Dr. Seuss books that were written years and years ago. So the publishing company, as I said, is not going to publish them any longer. So it seems like we've talked about this on the show before, things that have been said or done, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, now all of a sudden are becoming an issue and everybody has to stop it. Well, they weren't an issue 30 years ago, or they weren't an issue 20 years ago. So,
or 2 weeks ago.
or 2 weeks ago. So now all of a sudden people are saying, oh, you can't have that. And again, you can't say that. And you can't do this.
Who's saying that, Bill? Who's saying that?
It's people out there that are obviously doing it, and it's big enough that it's causing these companies to make changes.
But I mean, what is it? Is it a million people storming Capitol Hill that are saying get rid of Mr. Potato Head, which prompts Mattel to get rid of Mr. Potato Head? Or is it 3 guys on Facebook saying, I'm sorry, Mr. Potato Head should be gender neutral, ergo they get rid of Mr. Potato Head?
That's what Marvin is saying, making it gender neutral. That's what they were told. That's what they have had to do because there was an outcry about it.
But what's the outcry? Is the outcry a billion people storming Capitol Hill?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is who's starting the revolution? How big is this revolution? Because I got nothing against Mr. Potato Head. I'll tell you that right now.
Again, he's been around for years, right? It's a toy kids of all ages have played with forever. So I don't know. I take it back to, as I just said, stuff that was done 30 years ago and 20 years ago. And like Cliff said 2 weeks ago, that never offended or affected anybody. Now, all of a sudden you can't do anything. Who's to say, does my water bottle offend somebody because it's a silver lid and marble color, or does who knows?
Yeah.
They changed Mr. Potato Head to Potato Head, so it is gender neutral. So it is non-gender. It's a freaking potato.
Plastic one.
Plastic one. Yeah, you stick ears in it.
Marvin, and this is not to you, Marvin, because I understand you're relaying the argument, and I appreciate that. But it's a freaking potato.
So Bill, as an umbrella movement, let's say, do you have any general thoughts about cancel culture?
I think for me, it's just it does get irritating. Like obviously there is probably some things out there from even years back that they don't fit within society the way society should be seen, that kind of thing. But stuff like Dr. Seuss and this kind of stuff just kind of irritates me because it's like kids have read those books for years. Now all of a sudden they're not good to read. There's things in there that they shouldn't be reading. So the whole cancel culture thing for me is I think people just have to be careful in what they're canceling, let's say, for lack of better words, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, like Paul's a good example. If you don't mind, Paulie, me talking about you in the third party, but you just mentioned a little while ago, you've been watching Pepe Le Pew and all these things, and you love these things. And I don't know, from where I sit, I've never known you to be a racist person.
Yeah.
So I've never known you to be a person that is down on a particular gender or up on a particular gender. So you as a one-off sole example, grown up in a society that has played with this stuff, right, since the beginning, even at a very formidable age, it didn't seem to affect you in any drastically negative manner that I can see.
Yeah. Marvin says a funny comment here.
Yeah.
He says, if I see a rock on the BC highway, I still think there's a coyote under it. Wily Coyote getting crushed.
Wily Coyote getting smacked, eh?
Did anyone even, Andra, hi Andra, did anyone even notice that with all this removal of, I don't know what POC is. What's POC?
It's a stupid acronym that says people of color, I think, or something.
People of color.
Yeah.
Or
I guess I'm a POC.
You're a POC. There you go. You're a POC. Or indigenous from products and books because of racial marketing. Yet no one white person has been removed.
Again. See, this is the problem, right? It goes on back and forth. It's like slings and arrows, slings and arrows, slings and arrows. This person says that person says this. If they remove a bunch of this books, then they say white people's books haven't removed. Then if they remove the white people's books, then they say, well, the black people's books haven't removed. And this identity is constant and never ending. It's like never about people. It's always about what color are you? What group do you belong to? What political persuasion are you? I mean, it's never about humanity anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's I don't know. I don't know where this is all coming from. Quite frankly, I'm at a loss. I don't really know. I don't really know. Quite frankly, I like Dr. Seuss. However, I did hear something on the radio the other day. There was a doctor of something being interviewed, and she says, she says, you know what? You have to take it in context. I mean, Dr. Seuss it was written in the 30s, man. It was written in the 30s.
Okay, but they're doing the same thing with Twain. They're doing the same thing with Hemingway.
Right?
Right?
So read Huck Finn.
And Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn and all these types of things. But I mean, let's not stop there. I mean, go back to Kill a Mockingbird. One of your favorite books, Podlie.
My number one favorite book.
But you can go back to any I don't know. You can go back to the 70s to find things you don't agree with now. You can go back 4 weeks to find things that you don't agree with now. So what do we do? So what do we do? We just stop here, erase the entire 6 million years of whatever, however many millions of years humanity's been around, and start again?
Yeah.
Like what do we do?
Shauna makes an interesting comment. This I wasn't aware of, but Shauna says that Dr. Seuss's own estate decided to discontinue the books.
Yep.
So.
Right. So we got a one-off now where there's an excuse for it because the company themselves decided to not publish it for whatever reason or discontinue the books. But that's a one-off. But that's a one-off in what we're in the larger subject that we're discussing here.
Oh yeah.
It's not like that's a one thing where, okay, well, that one might have an explanation where the company themselves decided not to publish it. Why they decided not to publish it, nobody's talking about that. Nobody's asking that, right?
Yeah.
But so that's a one-off, right?
Yeah. Here's my thing, guys. I'm really kind of confused. I'm confused at where this is going. I'm confused at where this started, where it's going. I'm just I don't really know. Like, what's next? Who'd have thunk Mr. Freaking Potato Head? Come on.
And Podlie, that's the legitimate question, right? Is where is it going? What is next? So at what point will these faceless crowd or whatever you want to call it, I don't know the terminology to use, but at what point will this group, whatever group it is, okay, and I as you can tell, I'm struggling for words here because I can't say these people, I can't say that group because we don't know who they are. Just like what you said, Paul, I don't know who these people are, right? So my question would be, and I'd love for both you and Bill to comment on it because it's definitely a curiosity of mine, and of course any of our huge proponents, perhaps, of cancel culture who happen to be on the podcast. That'd be awesome if you would respond as well. I'm kind of curious. At what point will there be any kind of satisfaction to say, okay, we've erased enough. We've stopped publishing enough. We've erased that part of history that we don't want anymore. And we're done now. Now we have this perfect utopian culture that we're going to move forward in.
Yeah.
When?
I honestly, in my lifetime, I don't see that happening.
In anybody's lifetime, Bill?
Anybody's lifetime. Yeah. Because it's, especially even if you look at the past, maybe 4 years, 5 years, it's every day. It's more and more it just keeps, it's escalating and escalating and escalating. So I can't see
it. And it comes down to the minuscule, right? Because it starts out with saying, hey, listen, legitimately, we need to change this world. We need human rights to apply to every single solitary human on the planet. We need all of these things that are very important to the survival of humanity as a group, as a whole, right? And it starts out with those big things, and we all agree, and we're all on board with that. I don't know anybody that I know, certainly in my circles, and myself included, that's not on board with those big things. That says everybody needs human rights, everybody needs to be treated equally, everybody needs equal opportunity. We all agree with that, most of us, anyway. I think, as a rule, right?
Yes.
So if we do, and we all agree with that, so now everything goes down to the small. Okay, so we agree with that. That's a large thing. Now we go smaller and smaller and smaller until we get to a plastic potato. So what's next?
Yeah.
You know, I want to touch on something, and I'm going to pose the question. Cliff, you used the word utopia.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why people are doing it. I don't know if they're erasing this and erasing that in order to reach the perfect utopian culture. Quite frankly, I think people are doing it just to say, hey, you know what? I'm right and you're freaking wrong. And you're freaking wrong. I don't know. I don't know if it's. I think people are just being jackasses. Quite frankly, I don't think it's. I don't think it's to develop this utopian world where everybody is white, 6'3", blue eyes. Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the end game. I think the end game is just to show people up. I think is what it is.
Well,
I
that's
think
what
people are just being dinks.
Marvin's kind of saying that. Marvin says cancel culture has always been here. Every generation has dealt with it on some level. People just use it to push their own agendas.
Right, Marvin, absolutely right. And I'm with Marvin on this one. That's what I think it is.
So Marvin, let's pursue this then. I like that comment. Let's pursue this then. You say people use it to push their agenda. What do you think the agenda is, my friend?
I'll beat Marvin because he's typing. I'm talking. Sorry, Marv. I think that, quite frankly, it's just to pat people on the back. You know, I'm right. I feel good today. I'm right. That's what I think it is, and that's all I think it is. I just think it's ego. That's what I think it is, Cliff. I think it's ego.
Maybe, but whose ego, and how many people are pandering to however many people's ego? I like what Laura says there. She says, I feel it's kind of a bully about things, and I could be wrong. You know what, Laura? You're not wrong. Mm-hmm. And Marvin says the agenda depends on the person. No, dude, not in this case. I'm afraid I disagree with you because it's a movement. It's not just one person saying, hey, let's get rid of Pepe Le Pew, the freaking black and white skunk, and then everybody gets rid of him. There's not one person. No, it's a group. There are groups of people that are involved here, Marvin. And obviously, as a group, these people have an agenda. I would love to know what that agenda is. Not that anybody's going to tell us, right? But you have to extrapolate what the agenda is. Correct? Mm-hmm. We have to open our eyes and we have to look and we have to observe what's going on around us. I mean, you know, be sponges for that which is going on around us, and then come up with some sort of hypothesis, and then go about proving that hypothesis, right?
Yeah.
So you think with the agenda, Bill, Cliff and Bill, you think because there's an agenda, maybe they are going for the 6'3", blue-eyed, blonde-haired utopian race?
I'm not sure quite how you're getting to that train of thought, Paul.
Well, an agenda. And I don't think there's an agenda. I just think people are being jackasses. I think their agenda is for them, and it's inward, and it's purely an ego.
Okay, but what you're missing, and what Marvin is missing as well, and what I'm trying to say is, if you're talking about a single person, I can say it's a person's agenda. But if I'm talking about a group of people who agree on something and then press for it and get the result that they want, then obviously it's a group agenda of some kind. And that agenda is going to affect every living thing on this planet moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, Cliff. I just don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that well-rounded yet. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that. Can I use the word global? No, that's too big. You know what I mean. I don't know if it's too organized yet. I don't know if it's too much of a movement yet.
Do you know what I mean? It's pretty effective if it's not a movement, Podlie.
Well, we're talking about it, so you might be right.
Well, I think it's more than I think it's a movement. I think it's global as well. I think there's organizations of people out there that are pushing hard because, like Cliff said, it can't be just one person that comes out and says this, and all of a sudden they say, okay, well, we're not going to publish Dr. Zoop's books anymore because one person said, there's an issue on page 15 or page 3 or whatever of the book, right? So I think it is a movement, a global organization of some type that feels for whatever need that they think they're the people who can make everything right
So then, what's the end game?
in their mind.
What's the end game then?
I'd be curious to know. And Andrada says, Paul, you're right on that one. I'd be interested in knowing what he's right about. And she moves on to say that erasing.
Hey, whoa!
What?
I've been right a couple of times this year.
No, I'd be curious to know what you're right about this time, dude. It happens all the time. That way, that's why I don't have any point of reference. Look, boy, I got out of that one really well. I'm kidding, Paulie. I just want to know what she picked up on this time around, and she moves on to say that they've discussed it at this year's Davos convention. Indeed, they have, and they're erasing proof of racism towards a group of people from history. Who's doing that, Ardra? Who's erasing proof of racism? From what I can see, that comment is somewhat nonsensical. But I could be wrong. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Who's trying to erase that there was a matter of fact, people are trying to highlight more than anything the racism that was in the past.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, Paul, just a quick hello to William. William's on board. He says the world's changing fast. And Cliff, look at the time.
Wow. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the middle of the podcast. Welcome, William. Nice to see you, man.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure about that comment either about erasing proof of racism, because if anything, especially even over the past 12 to 16 months, it's been highlighted even more than probably in the past 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Marvin says, if you're colorblind and see the sky as green, is it a movement to agree with other people who are colorblind? Well, you know what, Marvin, we could get into that, dude. I mean, is the post box that you see as red as the post box that Paul and I see.
Philosophy.
We can get right. And you know what? I'm game. We can definitely go down that route if you wish. But I will tell you this. The fact of the matter is there are a few, and I know what you're getting at, Marvin, and I actually agree with you a tremendous amount. The bottom line is there are a few people pushing the buttons, and then there are the bandwagoners who don't even know why they're jumping on the bandwagon. They don't even know where the bandwagon is going. For all they know, the bandwagon is heading off a cliff, but they don't know that. But for whatever reason, the propaganda being pushed appeals to them, and they jump on that bandwagon.
But there's always been those followers, Cliff, that will chase that bandwagon and jump on the back, and they will hang on for dear life.
Right off the cliff. And I get that part, Bill. And I think that's what Marvin is actually alluding to. And I agree, Marvin. The fact of the matter is, though, the few people at the top or at the wherever the starting point of each of these grievances are, because 5 minutes after one grievance, then there's another grievance, and it's Potato Head, and then it's Zeus, and after Zeus it's this, and blah blah blah. Every 5 seconds there's a new grievance, right? So the people promoting this grievance, they have to be somewhere. It has to be coming from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to know what their agenda is. I'm really not concerned with the bandwagoners because, well, we have nothing to be concerned about with the bandwagoners, because the moment the propaganda changes, the bandwagoners will jump on the bandwagon. So I'm not concerned with them. I'm concerned with the people who are leading the bandwagon, right? That's what I'd be interested in knowing what the agenda is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense to me as well. And as you said, Cliff, the so-called leaders of these whatever organizations or whatever they are, like where are they? What, they're leading these people to think a certain way and to push a certain way. So like we've kind of said, what is their whole end game out of it?
Right. And
what are they trying to get?
And what has been accomplished by removing Mr. from Potato Head? I mean, they could have just made a Mrs. Potato Head and every little assorted little potato heads, right? But why remove?
Hey, maybe I should be choked. They don't have a potato head with spina bifida.
Or
maybe
a bald. Oh no,
choked.
they do have a ball potato head. Sorry about that. I was gonna say, right?
Maybe I should, maybe I should raise the flag and start,
But you see what I mean, though, right? It's not about equalizing things, because if it was about equalizing things, since they would have a Mr. Potato Head. Hey, look, man,
Yep.
they have a Mr. Potato Head. So now let's do a Mrs. Potato Head, a Ms. Potato Head, a Miss Potato Head, a master. Master as in Old English. They call a underage boy master, right? Just like Miss, they call master. So
Yep.
you can have each one of these potato heads, and that would be inclusion. But removing a Mister from a potato head, that's not inclusion. Do you see what I mean? It's always to tear down, not to build up.
And as Andretta says, she says they had a Mrs. Potato Head, which I believe they did, but now is that no longer as well?
You are right. Andra's right.
There you go.
Is it just Potato Head now? No Mr. and Mrs.?
I guess it's just Potato Head now.
Anyway, my point to that whole thing is that it's not about building up. It's always about tearing down.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that? It's always about tearing down.
It is. It's always tearing down.
It's not building up, right? I'm all about building up. I'm saying, okay, hey, wait a minute. If this person has this privilege, whatever you want to call it, then I'd love to work so that this person has the same privilege. That would be awesome. But instead of that, we're just going to take these people and rip them to the ground and tear them down. So it's all about tearing down as opposed to building up. And that's the part that really I find curious, right?
Yeah, it's not working together. It's working against each other.
Correct.
And that's why I'm saying it's ego, you guys. It's ego.
No, but Paul, ego is one dude. It's one person.
Well, one brain. Everybody in one brain, So I don't know. I think it's. Hey, I wanted to comment on something. Bill, you alluded to this earlier. Apologies, as I can't quite remember what you said. But is it religion that people are? Is it a religious? Let's say okay. Let's just say there's an Illuminati out there that is running the world. Is it for religious purposes? Is it for political purposes? Is it for what do you think it's for? What do you think is it are people trying to do this whole run of the world thing based on religion, based on politics? What is, if in fact that is what is happening, where people are, there's a one government thing, right? Because we've all heard that before, right? There's somebody higher than the president. They're underground, but they're running the whole world, right? We've all heard that, right? Do you think that politics supersedes religion, or religion supersedes politics? I guess is my question.
Well, yeah, the whole talk about the Illuminati, the Freemasons,
right,
that kind of thing. That's been out there for years and years and years. That there are those organizations that do run world government per se. There's been documentaries about it. There's been pictures of members of the Freemasons hanging out with the presidents of the United States in the background, and all sorts of things. But does politics and supersede religion? They both have, and I'm going to use the word because it's been used. I guess they both have their own agendas. But is it Illuminati that's doing this? I don't know if it's Illuminati. I think it's just organizations of people that have gotten together that, for whatever their reason, they have this end goal in mind, that they think that by canceling culture and doing these types of things, this will get them to some sort of better place.
Bill, you just said it. Now, am I talking apples and oranges when I'm saying, I'm asking a question. Am I talking apples and oranges when Bill alluded to cancel culture and underground people trying to run the world? So there claims to be some sort of organization. Is that an apples and oranges thing, or do you think that's in the same topic? Do you know what I mean? Do you think that's the people? Do you think that's the people that are starting all this cancel culture stuff?
That I don't.
I know. It's really conspiracy theory right now. I get that. It's really out there. But I'm genuinely curious what people think.
Well, William says, I have to scroll back here because William just made a comment. Both religion and politics are swaying everything, and billionaires as well.
Mhm.
Andrada says the Illuminati is a name given to what we refer to as the top
Right.
1%.
Right, because that's conscious. That's what we
Mhm.
right, because that's what we understand. I mean, I'm sure it's not the Illuminati. It's something or somebody that we don't know, right? But we are aware of the word Illuminati as being an elitist group, right? It's
Mhm.
just it's in our consciousness. That's why I call it the Illuminati. So,
Mhm.
you know. But I don't know. Is that apples and oranges? Is that a different conversation? What is that the people that's getting rid of my Mr. Potato Head? That's what I want to know.
Maybe.
And my Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
Haley kills me.
Yes, happy 69, Haley.
Haley, Haley, no
Yeah,
more 69 for you,
yeah,
Haley.
yeah.
Haley.
Haley,
Yes.
it's past it's almost 8:45 or something, isn't it? Almost your bedtime, Haley?
It's about time you showed up.
Yeah, jumps in with the 69. You're changing the whole you
Oh,
just changed
man.
the whole theme of the show right
The
there,
whole
Haley.
dynamic gone boom, just like that. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
Paulie, in a word, I'll tell you, man. I don't know. You can call it religion, you can call it politics, you can call it whatever you want. But the word, my friend, is power. That's what it is. It's power. So
yeah,
you can
whether it's either organization, it is power.
organization, it doesn't matter what you want to frame it under. All right. Bottom line is it's power.
Big
Right.
power trip.
And the fact of the matter is, when the powers that be can simply cancel you in a heartbeat, what can you do? That's power, man. They have power, right? You know, com- companies have been shut down, people have been fired, all that type of jazz. What does that equate to, right? If I can do that to you, that makes me powerful, right?
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Right.
Very
But I
true.
don't know what the end game is. I can postulate, again, reading and whatnot, but I don't know what the end game is. And I don't know what the answer is. I'd be more curious to know why there are some people. Like, has the intelligentsia shifted? I'd be curious to know what you guys think about that. Right? Has the intelligentsia shifted? Because it used to be that the intelligentsia fought for free speech. The intelligentsia fought against corruption.
Corruption.
The intelligentsia actually fought against the establishment, right? Now, Disney fires a person, everybody's on Disney's side. I'm
Mhm.
like, that's really unique, man. The intelligentsia used to fight for the little person, right?
It's true.
But now the intelligentsia fights for the corporations, right? I mean, Twitter bans the president of the free world, and the intelligentsia in past would have been, screw you, man. This is free speech. We need it to survive. Free speech is the end all be all precept under which modern society can function, right? Innocent until proven guilty. All of these wonderful liberal core values that certainly I've grown up with, and I've been lucky enough to live in the time of the world where these were core values. Well, the intelligentsia used to fight for these values, right? So I don't know. Is it the fact that the intelligentsia is shifted? I'm not sure. I don't understand. That's
No, I
just
think the whole sorry, Cliff. I think the whole freedom of speech thing is slowly disappearing because everybody's losing their freedom of speech because you have to be so careful what you say now.
It's already gone, Bill. It's not a matter
Yeah.
of losing. It's lost. It is, by every stretch of every imagination, lost.
I agree. It's present tense. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Andra says, to your point, we are living in the age of philanthropist capitalism. And I would hazard to say she is absolutely right. I would hazard to say. William says Endgame could be scary. William, I'm curious to think what your Endgame looks like.
Yeah. What are you thinking the end game is going to be, William?
William, what's the end game look like for you? I'm kind of curious. Donna May says, yes, Cliff, it is power that can be very scary, but we shouldn't live in fear. So they can have us all be puppets.
Yeah, but we're already there, Donna, because I tell you what, the people who are, if you can be canceled and if you can lose your job for saying something, then, and those who cannot afford to lose their job, et cetera, then now have to be quiet. So there's the loss of free speech, right? And what took that free speech away is the power that somebody has to cancel you as a person, right?
Mhm. Marvin says my end game is cremation.
I'm trying not to laugh, but Marvin, I know I'm trying not to laugh. My end game is cremation. Andrew says, "Me too, me too." I don't know. Do you guys think there's? Do you guys think? I'm sorry, I'm going real conspiracy theory. Do you guys really think there's like a new world order?
Well, Paulie,
yeah,
that's not a conspiracy theory, man. Every generation has a new world order.
That's true. That's true.
It's not a conspiracy theory. There has always been a world order, and every so often, or every generation, or every 100 years, or whatever, there's a new world order. That has been historically forever. I mean, look around you. See, civilizations have come and gone. Every superpower that existed prior to the United States is no longer a superpower. Mm-hmm. So the United States is a new world order. Okay, but they've been a new world order for a while now, and they're about to be an old world order, right? And there will be a new world order, right? So that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just a fact of history and a fact of life.
Yeah. Marvin's kind of saying the same thing. I think there are many world orders. And Rada, that's for you, Paul. They gave us a video.
And you know who the next world order is going to be, don't you?
The Podlie podcast.
That's right. I'm Big Brother.
Yeah.
China.
Andrada's got a lot of comments here, Paulie, all directing you to some video. And
I don't know.
Yeah, so she's got a lot of information there for you. So yeah. So
Agenda 2030. Okay, Agenda 2030.
Yeah.
You will own nothing and be happy.
Is that Andrada that just said that?
Yes.
Do you know, Andrada, you seem to be quite up on this stuff, which is very interesting. Most people I talk to don't know anything about this stuff, and even sort of more amazing to me is that they don't care about it. But yet, that world is coming, and it's going to affect every living thing and every person on the planet. And those with young children, it's their world. It's their world that's coming up. And if I was everybody, I would be concerned about what this means for them. I mean, what's happening in India right now, Andrada, if you've watched any of this stuff, you know what's going on in India currently. Everything from the vaccinations to what's happening with grain production and transport, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, but most people I know have no clue, and they just listen to the media telling them what the narrative is. And we're talking about potatoes, plastic potatoes, and we're not talking about what is potentially the world order coming in 2030. So that's the part that I kind of, am often concerned about, is that the big issues get lost in the Mr. Potato Heads and Zeus. And sometimes I think that is part of the issue. The part of the issue is, let's go over here and distract everybody with potato heads. Meanwhile, everything else is happening over here that nobody's actually talking about. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, they're deflecting people away.
Yeah.
Right. Marvin says Pinky the Brain is real, man. And William says beware of YouTube rabbit holes.
Oh man, I went down one the other day. Good,
William. William, my friend. The problem with YouTube rabbit holes is, and I see this on social media all the time, people make fun of people going to YouTube for research, etc. I hate to break it to anybody. Both sides of every argument get a bunch of information from YouTube. So let me tell you something. you get all these people posting, oh, you got his information from YouTube. Well, where the hell did you get yours from? Facebook?
Yeah.
So these people are very high and mighty, right? And they say this. I'm not talking about you, William, here. I'm just saying on my Facebook page, I've seen this often. They post memes saying, oh, look, this guy got his information from YouTube. Well, if it's not YouTube, it's Facebook. If it's not Facebook, it's Twitter. I don't see you going to a library and mulling over a bunch of books now, do I? So let's be reasonable here. There's a reasonable amount of information out there, and there's an unreasonable amount of information out, and there's an amount of information out there that is unreasonable. It is our job as intelligent people to decipher these things.
Which is which,
right?
Yeah. William, distract and redirect. Sounds like our current government.
Well, government, people, companies, you name it, right?
Yeah.
And Haley says something very interesting. Said, "I'm honestly scared for what the world will come to as my daughter grows up." You know what, Haley? And that's actually, to be honest with you, my friend, that is my my sort of reason for often being vocal or asking people questions and all that type of stuff. You know, I don't have children. I don't have skin in this game, right? But I have friends who have children, and I often wonder what the next world is going to be like. But honestly, for me, I have no skin in the game.
So Haley, obviously, my kids are only 8 years older than Daphne. In the grand scheme of things, albeit that's not a big margin. It's a very small margin. My kids are only 8, and I too worry about this often. And I go to sleep happy, and I go to sleep every night knowing that okay, I may not be able to help the world outside. I mean, that's not the right word. I may not be able to affect the world outside, but you know what? I can affect my world inside, and that world inside is my house. So here's my thing. I am trying to raise 3 children to become part of, and I will quote this. This is my mantra. This is my mission statement. I'm trying to raise 3 kids that are part of the solution and not of the problem, and not part of the problem. Okay. What is that problem? I don't know what that problem is. We're facing a lot of it right now. But my kids now and next week and next year and 10 and 20 and 50 years from now, they're going to be part of the solution. And you know what? That's how I can go to bed sleeping well. Do you know what I mean? I can't affect outside.
Do you know what, Podlie? My only comment to that is you're talking about raising children to be the part of the solution. The problem is if we don't know what the solution is, we're raising kids to be part of the problem.
Well, we're still trying to figure out what the hell the problem is. We're still trying to figure out where discrimination and racism comes from.
No, that's my point. My point is that we say that's a good thing to say, and I respect that, right? You're raising children to be a part of the solution. The problem is that's a very vague statement of which we have no answers.
Yeah,
100%.
Right? Right? So, no, Podlie. So my point is that we need to educate ourselves to the nth degree as much as possible to be able to shape the next generation to actually be the part of the solution.
And I think that's what's happening is and I'll put myself in this category. Things are changing so bloody quickly, so damn quickly. All of a sudden, people were mad last week about Mr. Potato Head. This week, they're mad about Pepe Le Pew. I can't keep up.
Bill, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was just gonna agree with you on that, Cliff. Yeah, you prepare the kids to be part of that solution, but we really don't know what that solution is at that point because everything is just moving so fast.
Yeah. I mean, that could be the aforementioned bandwagon.
Yeah, I think it's more so preparing the kids just to be able to deal with whatever situation comes up at a particular time and working together and thinking about it and how would they attack it. Because you got to think about it. I don't really think you can actually say, let's prepare the kids to be part of the solution.
Correct.
Well, what's the solution? Correct. We don't know what the solution's for.
We don't know. And this is precisely what I meant, Bill, when I talk about studying to the nth degree. Because if we learn how to think ourselves, and I've seemed to have been on this topic now for like 4 or 5 podcasts, right? About thinking. I don't think people think enough. I think they think enough, but they don't actually think, right? Mm-hmm. Because the thought comes in your head and says, "Oh, I think I'll have a cup of coffee." That's not thinking. Mm-hmm. And I think, and honestly, that's part of the problem. So I think we need to teach the next generation how to think for themselves, how to disseminate or take apart propaganda and understand it, right? Listen to a newscast, sit down with your children. And first of all, you have to understand the newscast, but sit down with children and like pick it apart, right? Pick apart editorializing versus fact, right? Because it's so subtle nowadays. I mean, if you listen to any of the mainstream media or any of the non-mainstream media, any media, there's no such thing as facts anymore. It's simply editorializing. They tell me a fact, but they tell it in such a way that is completely editorialized in order to promote one side or another, right? And we need to be cognizant of this, and we need to be able to bring our children along to be able to disseminate this information, right? So I don't know. I just got to go back to one thing here that Andrada said. That she said Andrada said that when I discussed vaccine passports last year, I was called a conspiracy theorist, and now they're publishing this in our newspapers. Do you know what, Andrada? I just want to touch on that one thing. The problem nowadays is that the moment, and this lends itself to what I was just saying about thinking, the moment you think and actually say anything, the slightest, the tiniest, the smallest, most minuscule thing outside of what is quote unquote the accepted narrative, you're a conspiracy. You're labeled a conspiracy theorist. That's the problem, and that is precisely what is stopping people from thinking. Because if I ask a question, right, I've been accused of being an anti-vaxxer. There's not a single person that I know who has heard me or who has heard me speak that will tell you that. Would you guys say that I'm an anti-vaxxer?
I don't think that at all.
And how many times have I asked questions about the vaccination? I asked.
Yeah, all you've done is
about
you're doing your research on it. That's not being an anti-vaxxer.
I have a whole bunch of vaccines. I've already taken a whole bunch of vaccines, and some of them I've taken twice. Right? But yet I've got accused of that only because I ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Science is about asking questions. Why is the intelligentsia supposedly not on the side of science anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, everything from climate change to vaccines, right? People say, oh, well, 97% of scientists agree that climate change is a problem. Okay, since when is science a consensus?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying there isn't a problem. I'm just saying that's not an adequate answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. Haley says, I feel this generation now was almost given too much because of the way that I viewed it. I remember my parents always saying, I want to give you all the things that I was never able to have, which is hindsight, which makes some people very entitled and causes them not to think.
True.
Yeah. I like what William says. William says it's funny watching news dance around certain topics. You know what? I can see it, William, and I can understand why. But don't you and me, my friend. I find it rather hilarious, to be honest with you.
William, you mentioned something earlier, and I was thinking about this about 45 minutes ago, and I wasn't going to go down this rabbit hole, but you opened this up. William says colonialism is part of the root of racism, and I'm not going to disagree with you one bit.
And I'm just going to go back to the news for a second. What happened to the days when you could watch news in the 70s or 80s? And they just gave the facts. There was no dramatizing of it. There was no, you know, putting all of this
editorializing
stuff in there, editorializing and tossing all this stuff in there, which you afterwards you're watching. Okay, was I just watching a National Enquirer magazine, or was I watching the news? Right?
You know what, Bill? And that's the thing, right? I will challenge any of you who are younger than me or Bill, perhaps, or Podlie. I don't know. If you don't know what a real newscast is supposed to be like, you're going to have to go back about 25 years. But go watch some news from then, and you'll see a vast difference on how things are editorialized now versus how the facts were given. Because back then, editorial programs existed by the dozen. But you knew it was an editorial program, not a newscast. Now there's no differentiation. You don't know the difference.
That you don't know what's opinion. You don't know what's real, what's fake, whatever, right?
You have no idea. Podlie, I got a question for you and Marvin. I think you agreed with Marvin so vehemently about colonialism. William being the root of racism. Okay.
Yes,
I agree. Which colonialism?
I don't know.
From the 1400s.
I don't know. I'm not
1200s.
Well,
BC before Christ. BCE. 100 AD. When
1585.
Yeah, 1580. But which colonialism?
Good question. I don't know.
Because this is the part that really kills me. Every single society has been colonialized in one form or another through the entire history of the human population.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody has this, colonialism. Okay, well, I get it. Colonialism is bad. Trust me, I know. Colonialism is bad. All right. Yeah. My name is Cliff Smith, and I'm a brown guy for a reason. All right. I know these things. Right. But the fact of the matter is, when you say things like that, colonialism is responsible for racism, then that tells me what everybody should know. Racism has been around since the inception of the human being.
Yeah.
We didn't become racist. We've become more or less racist over the years. I think we're becoming more racist now. I think, dude, I don't know. I think we're going backwards. You talk about de-evolving, Paulie. I think literally we are de-evolving because we're more racist now. There's more segregation now than there ever was.
I agree.
Yeah, it's gotten worse than getting better for sure. Well, we're down to 1 minute here, gentlemen.
Gotten worse.
Okay, well, that was a spirited discussion.
Thank you for humoring me, guys. I really enjoyed that discussion. I like that. So thank you for schooling me.
All right, we're down. Go ahead there, Cliff.
I was just gonna say thank you all for showing up. A bunch of you showing up, and more so, thank you for engaging with us. We appreciate that. And you know what? If you're listening now, listening later, the comments are open. I'm a very free thinker and a very free speaker. And if I said something that you want to discuss further or whatever the case may be, hey, hit us up. We'd be happy to do that. And I'm sure Paulie and Bill will agree on their part as well.
Yes.
Yep. We don't know what's going on. So we are here. And today, all we're doing is trying to find out and ask the questions. So all of you that helped us and asked questions with us and answered some of the questions, we appreciate you being here very much. And you know what? Must Listen Monday would be no fun without you guys. We appreciate you very much. And if you're not listening live, then you're listening later. And Mr. Bill?
Well, I'm just going to say Marvin's comment real quick, then I'll get to that. So Marvin says, awesome week. Thanks to my new dish. You never look so good. Thanks, Marvin. And Marvin, keep me up to date because I'm still thinking about it. Again, we're on Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're on all the places you get your podcasts for. So that'll be up a little bit later tomorrow. Grab the audio if you don't have time to rewatch the video.
Absolutely.
Haley, thank you for joining our 69. Top.
Yeah, thanks for being there on 69 night, Haley.
69, Haley.
Yeah, thanks for joining us there, Rahat. Everybody have a great week. We'll be back with number 70. What are you going to say next week, Haley? What's a number 70?
Number 70 is we owe her one.
That's right. All right, everybody. See you next week.
Stay
have
happy.
a great week, guys. Thanks, eh?